Before I start this video, I just wanted to say that I decided to take a little break. For some reason, I always take time off after New Year's. But this year I plan to come out with more videos than I have the past couple of years and try to make most of my videos at least 8 minutes long or longer, which I have been doing the past couple of months. Now last week when I looked at my to-do list, this story that I'm going to cover today has been on there ever since I started this channel. So I figured it was time to finally cover this. It is a fascinating story. In September of 1945, Lloyd Olson was doing his chores, and on this day one of his jobs was to kill chickens so they could sell them at the market. And when he was done, he decided to kill one more for dinner, and the chicken he decided to kill had a name. They called him Mike. And after Lloyd cut off his head, he put Mike on the ground, and as he was walking away, he heard a noise behind him, and when he looked, he saw Mike walking around. Now Lloyd was shocked. He could not believe what he was seeing, as Mike was just walking around like nothing had happened to him, and even without any eyes or a mouth, it appeared to be trying to eat the seeds that were on the ground. Now sometimes, although rare, when you cut off a chicken's head, it could run around like crazy before it dies, but this chicken wasn't doing that, and Lloyd was waiting for it to die, but he didn't. So he put it in a box, as he didn't want it to wander off in the night. He also figured that it had to die soon. But the next day, Mike was still alive, and Lloyd now felt sorry for it. So he started to feed it milk and water with an eyedropper, and he would just drop the liquid down its throat. Later, he would force down worms and grains. Now as the days went by, not only did Mike not die, but he seemed to thrive. And Lloyd obviously knew that this should not be possible. No animal should be able to live without a head. So he decided to try and make a profit from this. He rode around town with Mike in the back, and he bet people for free beer that he had a chicken that was alive and it didn't have a head. And let's just say that Lloyd got a heck of a lot of free beer. Now word started to spread around town that there was a live chicken without a head, and people and reporters started coming from all over to see this chicken. Then Lloyd got approached by a sideshow promoter who wanted to take Mike on the road with other oddities. And since Lloyd was a poor farmer, he agreed, and Mike soon became known as Mike the Wonder Chicken. He was very famous. He was even featured in Time and Life magazine. And Lloyd and his family were making a good chunk of change, so Mike was a godsend to them. Then one night about 18 months later, Lloyd and his family were staying at a hotel in Arizona when they woke up to a very loud gurgling sound. They ran to Mike to see what the heck was going on and saw that he was choking to death, and sadly he died. Now Lloyd was devastated, not only because Mike died, but because he forgot to clear the mucus out of his throat that night. If he would have remembered, Mike would have probably lived a full life, and Lloyd and his family would have continued to make a lot of money. But it wasn't just about the money. Lloyd really loved Mike. He was a great friend to him. Now scientists couldn't believe that any living animal could live without a head, so they assumed obviously that there was a scientific explanation. And after a lot of studying and analyzing, they believed that they knew why. When Lloyd cut off Mike's head, he missed a jugular vein. He also struck at such an odd angle that a small part of Mike's brainstem remained intact. Now a lot of people thought that Mike was a miracle, and in a way he was. And the reason I want to cover this story is that there are some paranormal aspects to this case, such as Mike would walk around like he knew where he was going. He would try to eat the seeds that were on the ground as if he could see them, and also why has this never happened again? You would think that there would be at least a dozen or so other cases out there. In fact, after the world learned about Mike, thousands of farmers tried to duplicate what Lloyd did, but none of them ever could. Now when I first heard about the story when I was a kid, I thought to myself, Mike just had the will to live. He didn't need a head. But of course there has to be a reason. But it does beg the question, why has this never happened again? Even with thousands of farmers, scientists, and just random people trying to create their own Mike. And they're still trying to this very day, but no one has ever been able to do it. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.